it's good to see you. And I just want to point out before this goes further, because we a lot of what we do on this show are jokes, right? But this segment is not a joke, because you while you are one of the very talented and capable and prolific writers for My Talented Friends Live, you are also concurrently a actual therapist, a real therapist, right?
Yeah, I'm a licensed professional counselor here in Pennsylvania, and I'm licensed in Massachusetts. I teach psychology and drama therapy techniques, and so I'm a real life therapist.
And this segment is about your about your day job, as it were. And I want to let the audience know that if you as you're listening to what Patrick offers us tonight, Bree says hi.
Hi, Bree.
That if you have a question for Patrick, please put it in the chat, and we'll try to answer it at the end. But Patrick, what specifically are you delving into this evening?
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about models to approach dealing with strong emotions. In the days of COVID, it can be possible that we are feeling strong emotions for the people that are close to us. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do with very strong emotions when we have them, because there can be massive tension and difficulties. So there are two primary ways that instinctually we deal with strong emotions. This is sort of boils down to that fight or flight reaction. We either want to attack something or run from it. And so let's talk a little bit about what that is. One word to describe that desire to fight is aggression. And what is aggression? Well, it's sort of like getting mad, wanting to destroy things, destroy the things around us. And so as we are dealing with those massive, annoyed, horrible feelings inside, it can feel really good and great to just sort of rip things apart. And that's aggression. So what's good about aggression? Well, it feels great, as I said. It gets the emotions out. It can feel as if you're actually doing something justified. You have this righteousness about you, and it can feel phenomenal. But what are the negative things about being aggressive? Well, it's unpredictable. It can lead to further aggression in others. If you have somebody being aggressive at you, it may want you to be aggressive in return. So it can spiral out of control and could lead to a lot of unintended consequences. And so even though it feels fantastic to do, we're also out of control with it sometimes, and it can lead to stuff that we didn't want, and can lead to one thing after another. Another reaction is that flight, which we can call passivity. So what's passivity? Well, it's doing nothing. It's like surrendering and having nothing to do in reaction to something. You put your emotions down or aside. What's good about it? Well, it's peaceful, it's calm, it doesn't make situations worse. It literally just sort of, you say yes to the worst things that are happening, and you just put those emotions aside, and you're not going to make anything really bad by doing nothing, unless the situation itself is really bad and you're letting it happen. But at least you're not throwing stuff in that can lead to some unintended consequences. The negative aspects of it are the emotions can go nowhere. It doesn't change bad situations. And when we emotions stay inside, they have a tendency of affecting us, being bottled up and coming up at unusual situations, and can hurt people that we care about. So these are the natural ways of sort of dealing with strong emotional stimulus internally. So we can choose to do something else with these emotions. So instead of this fight or flight, we as intellectual human beings can do a certain other thing, which we call assertiveness. And that's stating what's important to you within the context of what's considered reasonable. What's great about assertiveness is you do something with those emotions. They don't just squeeze you inside and make you feel awful. It can lead to change. It could lead to an emotional response by who we're talking to, but at the same time, we're not just being a doormat. We're getting a chance to do something about it. The bad stuff is that it's not as satisfying as it would be to be really aggressive. You wouldn't be able to get it all out there, and it may not completely fix the problem. And it also takes a lot of energy to bring your forebrain into a situation when you're feeling emotional. But it certainly is better than aggression, and it certainly is better than passivity. So that's sort of that wise mind way of approaching something thoughtfully. So when we are assertive, we want to make sure that we have other places to put our emotions, because it's not going to be complete. We want to make sure we do things like run, create art, do stuff that allows us to put the other emotions out there, but at least we do it. Now, I'd recommend being assertive with people that we're close to. You don't want to do it with something that you feel upset with, like happens on a bus or something like that. Is that really important to address? But this could be something really good to do with somebody that you're romantically involved with or that you live with. But becoming assertive is a process. Instinctual responses never go away. We always feel that desire to run away or fight in stressful situations. And that's okay. We can't be any more than we are, but this is another way of dealing with strong emotions when you have them. And so that's a sort of a model of dealing with those strong emotions. And Gibby, you can come back now if you'd like.
Hey, buddy, that's just fantastic information. I mean, here we are all stuck at home, and if we're fortunate, we're stuck with our significant people, right? Our family members, our significant others, and there's good in that, and there's challenges in that, and I think that it's really, really valuable that you acknowledge that there's good and bad for every way you choose to respond.
Right.
And I also really particularly thought that the idea of being assertive, which obviously, you know, sort of the intellectual obvious answer as well, be assertive. But I like that you brought to attention the fact that there is a negative to assertiveness. That what do you do with that energy, and how do you work it out? So this is very valuable, very practical information, and I sincerely appreciate it, my friend.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Did we have any questions from the audience? It doesn't look like we had any specific questions from the audience. I had a few people. Chris Baldridge wanted to say hi to you. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea of drama therapy is in using only theater tools in order to deal with stuff. We know as performers that theater is healing. And so the idea of using theater tools in therapy is a transformative way of rather than just talking about depression, for example, let's put depression in the chair, or act as if something is happening in order to build scaffolding in order to become a greater expert on something. So in many ways, theater to me is an incredibly healing place. And the idea of drama therapy is to be a facilitator for individuals that want to be healthier people. It's not necessarily, I don't do it with everybody, but it's certainly a wonderful technique to help people in times of change.
Yeah, you know, being a theatrician myself, Patrick, I absolutely understand the healing nature of being on stage, the adrenaline and the community and all of that. But Patty brings up a really good point, because I speak out of a sense of privilege that I'm stuck with the most amazing person in the world and not stuck at all. Yeah. But Patty brings it up to say that what if we're not fortunate to be stuck with someone?
Yeah, no, that is a great question. I think isolation is one of the greatest challenges of this COVID time, and we're going to be dealing with the consequences of that for a long time. But in the immediacy, if somebody is feeling alone or don't have somebody to be with, those strong emotions still can be happening. They can be directed towards yourself, at the world, or even you know, at your food that you're trying to cook. The point is that, you know, in a time of unpredictable stuff that's happening as it is now, we're going to have strong emotions. And as with any other type, that when we have those emotions, we want to find ways of doing stuff with them. We can't eliminate emotion reaction from our lives, but what we can do is transform it. And so the idea is embrace things like exercise and creativity and reaching out to other people that may not be at home, but we've had those important connections with. This is a time to maybe just have a FaceTime call with somebody, or do something that you know is meaningful for you personally. Creating a garden is a great idea. Getting outside, doing stuff with dirt, that kind of things can be, but it's going to be different for everybody individually. But isolation is a real tough thing, and it is something that is affecting a lot of people right now. And it's something we all have to deal with.
I'm going to take one more question from our audience, from Karen Rook. Any tips to deal with the frustrations of teleworking? Because God knows there are plenty of frustrations there.
There's a lot of great research going on right now about why it's so particularly frustrating. And one of the main ideas is there's so many different elements that we're using to keep focused. We don't know if there's going to be technical issues at any moment. We don't know if the person themselves is really engaging with what's happening. We can't ever escape. When we're online, and there's so many micro gestures and expressions that we're not picking up on, and it can feel incredibly draining. I think one of the ways of doing this is people are trying to pretend this is just normal. I can use my time the same way as I did before, but you have to honor what you're feeling internally and make room and space for yourself, and make sure the people that you're working with and above and beyond have a chance to deal with those emotions in a realistic, supportive, and transparent way. This is not a normal time we're living in, and we have to make sure that there is allowances for what we need in order to get through it.
Patrick, this is just incredible. Where can folks learn more about you and the type of therapy that you administer?
Well, you can go to patrickhughes.com, and right now that just goes to my Psychology Today profile. But you can connect with me then or learn more about what I do. I just want to say too that if somebody is being affected by this disaster specifically, there's a disaster distress hotline out there. You can dial 1-800-985-5990. And as always, you can always dial 911 if you're in real acute distress. But don't hesitate to reach out to me if you want to connect. And I really encourage people. People aren't alone. We live in a society, and there are places and ways of getting support. So I encourage everyone to do what they need to do for themselves to be able to feel comfortable.
Patrick, thank you so much. This is like my dream come true, that we have a variety show that's funny and goofy, but also has some practical, workable, useful knowledge that we impart to folks. And I can't do that because I am useless.
Completely. So, yeah.
I'm really, yeah. I mean, that's clear. But I'm so glad to have you. And hey, you're coming back, right? You're going to be one of our celebrity panelists on the Nat show later on.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll see you then, Gibby.
We'll see you, buddy.